Cobra Kai Season 4 is out, and we're going to spoil it. Plus, we talk about a little baseball and a little bit about life. Diamond Diehards in 2022 is on. Joe Rizzo here, bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy, for the first time in the new year. We are with you. We're gonna screw up season 4 of Cobra Kai for you. So I put it everywhere. If it's a spoiler alert, but we're like a week in now. So, and I watched season 4 last year. This dog is cracking up. Not my favorite joke ever. Although it is true, I watched season 4 last year. We're just gonna go through that because it's about baseball and about life, and nothing is more life than Cobra Kai right now. We'll touch on a few other things. Fanatics acquires Topps, Buck Showalter to the Mets, Mark Kotsay to the A's. Stuff that happened since we last graced the airwaves in 2021. In the last week or so of that. New world of COVID with Omicron is now upon us, and we're in the throes of that. And then we'll finish it off with Diehard Dads. But first, the way we always kick it off, it's a Cobra Kai-centric show today, Dog. So I think you went a little creative for Veteran of the Day here. I kind of like it. The dog, Jeff Healy.
All right, thanks, Riz. We're going off a little bit here. Everyone knows, of course, that Mr. Miyagi, the famed sensei on Karate Kid, was a member of the 442nd Infantry Regiment during World War II. So I figured it'd be kind of fun to talk about why that's important. So the 442 Infantry Regiment is best known as the most decorated unit in U.S. military history. It was a unit composed almost entirely of second-generation Japanese Americans who signed up and volunteered to deploy over to the European theaters. They went and served in the fight against Germany. They had 4,000 guys, 12,000 volunteered, 4,000 were selected and trained and deployed over with them. They eventually had a total of 14,000 men. There's obviously a lot of casualties along the way, as is kind of typical for World War II. But they had 14,000 total guys go through. They wound up earning 18,000 awards in less than 2 years, including 4,000 Purple Hearts, 4,000 Bronze Stars. They were awarded 8 Presidential Unit Citations. So sort of like you had a key factor in them winning a big battle or something like that. They won 8 of them, 7 between 1944 and 1946, and 5 of them in 1 month, which I'm going to guess was the Italian fight, which was brutal. 21 of its members were awarded the Medal of Honor. I should know this off the top of my head, but I think there's somewhere around like 180 or something like that of like total Medals of Honor. So a really, really select group within that, and to have 21 of their soldiers earn that was just simply remarkable. In 2010, Congress gave them the Congressional Gold Medal, honoring the entire unit and the associated units underneath it that served. In 2012, the surviving members were elected into the French Légion d'honneur for their result in that liberating of France, and that's it. So so Pat, so we're honoring the 442 Regimental Combat Team, famed and most decorated unit in U.S. military history, as a setup for Mr. Miyagi and our Cobra Kai talk.
I think that's set it up pretty good. What do you think? I mean, obviously,
and it's on his gravesite, so it's featured prominently, which was kind of a little attaboy to the Cobra Kai guys. I mean, they reference it repeatedly throughout, so it's nice to kind of continue to honor the legacy there. So the show's writers have done a really great job, I think, of highlighting that. So why not us?
Why not us? So people might be tuning in. They're like, why are these guys why are they talking about Cobra Kai? Like, listen, if Bill Simmons could talk about whatever the hell he wants, like, we say we're a podcast about
awesome
about baseball and about life, and well, I think they're in the Karate Kid genre at some point. There have been like baseball bats, right? Like they haven't really been used for baseball, but like, you know,
They got hits.
you have a bat laying around, you hit somebody or something with it. It's kind of good.
You hit behind the runner.
Yeah. Or hit the runner.
Or hit the runner.
The bat. Whatever it takes. Or with the ball. It doesn't matter. Just throw it at the runner. Okay. So this is almost like sort of like the Diehard Dads for me too, because we tucked in. Now, the original plan for the Rizzos was a hockey tournament that was going to span from December 31st to January 2nd in Pennsylvania. That got scuttled due to Omicron, which we'll maybe get to later in the show. So that got scuttled, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, it's New Year's Eve. What are we going to do? So what we did was we snuggled up in front of the TV. Me, the triplets, Debbie, and my good friend Bourbon and Ginger. Which worked out well. Cobra Kai retweeted or whatever, responded to my picture of like the bourbon, the fireplace, and Cobra Kai. Like nice. I was locked in. It was great. And we banged out all 10 seasons. And when I tell you the last episode and the credits came on 45 seconds before midnight, at which time we sprinted over into my mother-in-law's part of the house. Debbie Rizzo grabbed the Prosecco on the fly and somehow worked her magic, and the cork popped at midnight. I don't know how she did it. One of those miracles. And so, boom. So Cobra Kai was in the books, and New Year's Eve was in the books, and of course now I could always say, oh, I watched it last year, which I said like literally 45 seconds after I was done with it. What was so I don't think you binged it in one shot, right?
I did about half, I think, New Year's Day. I think I got through like episode 4 or 5 or so, and I figured that would be enough. And then I came back yesterday, and I had to visit the dentist, so I was all banged up. After that, so I'm just lying on my side, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put on Cobra Kai, and that was it. I finished binged it off and finished the episodes off last night. The obligatory Diamond Cat coming in and asking questions and having to explain and things like that, but we got through that, and we still got to enjoy the story.
Okay.
So and she continued to try and make the classic jump the shark reference, and I highlight the fact like the show literally cannot jump the shark. Like it already started right there.
It started.
That feeds off it. Exactly. That's
right.
it. It's like it's even better.
Yeah. It started out like having jumped the shark. Yeah. Karate Kid jumped the shark in the middle of Karate Kid like 2, right? Like honk 100%. Honk. The original honk honk scene is where I don't know, where it starts to jump the and then it just by the middle of episode 2 you're like, okay, I'm watching this out of duty. And then let's face it, nobody watched Karate Kid 3 until like a couple of years ago, until right before season 3, where you're like, okay, we got to watch Karate Kid 3 because otherwise nobody's going to know what the hell the backstory is for season 3. So that's when me and everybody else watched it. I mean, I had no recollection of it from when it was
I still have not seen 3.
Oh,
I'll be honest, I barely
crazy.
Remember 2.
Yeah,
so
2
I'm
is
not 100% I even saw 2.
2's not memorable. You saw it back in the day.
I'm sure
you saw it by accident.
I'm sure I saw bits and pieces at least.
So all right. So now because of the interaction here on so we're on Facebook Live. So if you're watching this at any given time, that's great. But if you're on Facebook Live now, we're going to be cognizant of that fact. So my friend Love, George Amores, said, don't spoil it. He needs to catch the last 2 episodes. I said, well, when we get to episodes 9 and 10, just mute or like walk away. So fortunately, Dawg and I do have the episode list in front of us. So they start off. Okay, so this is it. If you haven't seen it, now's the time to mute, go away, whatever. Yeah. If you have not seen season 4,
Come back.
of
20
Cobra
minutes.
Kai. Which, by the way, Debbie Rizzo got everybody Cobra Kai shirts for Christmas, and we all wore them except for producer Xavier. Oh, by the way, thank you, producer Xavier. I think all of the Rizzos are producing right now, so thank you to all of them. And so we did wear our Debbie Rizzo issued official Cobra Kai shirts while all of this was going on, except for producer Xavier because he was like, we had to wake him up. Okay, so this is where we pick it up, right? Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do have to try to train together. And Dawg, it looks good right at the start, right?
Yeah, they're both up there. Boom, I do this, do that. You got the offensive, defensive coordinator. Like, it kind of all ties together here.
Yeah,
Like,
just
this could work.
the problem was there was no head coach. And it's the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. Actually, Dawg, move a little closer. I think you're a little like the mic wise.
Mike's a little closer.
Yeah, Mike's a little closer maybe.
How's that?
Gotta pop it up a little bit. I know you had a technical issue before, so let's see if it's you're just coming in a little bit lower than usual.
Okay.
So then we start to get into like the whole John Kreese and like Terry Silver. So if you never saw Karate Kid 3, I don't know how the hell you got through it, Dawg, but I guess with all the flashbacks, like you could kind of get through it. It's just that it gives you a little bit of better background of all the BS that they kind of, went through together back in Vietnam.
Yep.
So Dawg goes without it. I go with it. So Terry Silver is now like, he's still this, put together looking guy, he's got tons of money and he's at his beach house and he's got
tofu.
Yeah, he's got a chef making him tofu like for every meal. And, Kreese has to barge in on their little dinner party and he charms Terry's significant other to get him invited in. And, he basically somehow gets him to join back to Cobra Kai. But the funny thing is, like, and I can't remember if this was in episode 1, where he starts talking about how he was like a deranged psycho on cocaine like 30 years ago when he's like, I don't know what I was doing. Like, I was terrorizing an 18-year-old kid with karate and like a dojo. Like,
they started parroting themselves.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was so that's where I agree with you about it can't jump. It's jump the shark proof. Like there is no jumping the shark because when you do that, you're like making references to the whole fact that you're using the jumping the shark as like your plot driven vehicle, right?
Yeah, exactly. If I was going to jump the shark, what would I do?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. If I would jump the shark, what would I do? Karate Kid into Cobra Kai season 4. So okay, now I think then we also start to see Robbie this is where he starts to teach the Cobra Kai kids have all the stuff that he learned in Miyagi-Do. So is he really like he seems definitely more Miyagi-Do.
Like prove his way in, and
yeah,
like the one tough guy who's like glass jaw of the of Cobra Kai. He's always like talking trash. Yeah, everyone seems to drop this guy like every time.
I know, poor guy.
Yeah.
Well, he's always like he's such a good foil though. That guy, like he's gonna make a career acting just based on these like like young teen or early 20s, however old that actor is. Like he's everybody's just gonna remember him from that. Hopefully he doesn't get typecast, or maybe in 30 years he'll come back and he'll be like the Johnny Lawrence,
Yeah, exactly.
So Robbie starts doing like the Miyagi-Do stuff and you have Hawk now switching sides, so you got all the side switching, and
yeah, that was actually tough to follow. I'll be honest. After a while, I'm like, which side is this guy on again?
Well, because you never know. Like sometimes they switch sides like in the same day, and then they switch back, and
yeah, exactly.
And then Hawk
especially like Hawk is like all over the joint. I'm like,
right, like Hawk shows up at Miyagi-Do with the sledgehammer, and like you're like, oh my God, Hawk's he's gonna put the sledgehammer through somebody's head, or he's gonna put it through a window. Instead, he's like knocking down the thing so they could build the sparring deck and they could work together. After it looks like stuff's not gonna work out, and the guys have to like decide that okay, we gotta figure this out. So
So the kids brought them back together.
the kids
So
brought them.
it was a heartwarming one.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's that story, right? Where we're like, okay, how long is this going to last? Because they keep the one thing that they do pretty well is they do keep that undercurrent of tension between Daniel and Johnny. Like even when you know it's good and it's going good, they give you like enough to make you feel like, oh man, are they finally going to do it? And then like once they stop, you're like, yeah, there's no way. There's no way. There's always no way until there's a way, right?
Exactly.
Then in the second episode, they introduced the kid Kenny, who his father could have been veteran of the day, right? Because his father's deployed, somewhere, right?
And I think he was Major Payne. I'm not 100%, but I'd have to go back and check it. Actually, he might have been a Master Sergeant, but they should have made him Major Payne because that would have worked. Because the kid's name is Payne.
I know it's Kenny Payne. You got to check that now. You got to.
I will have to put out. Just so saying, I'm like, I know I should forget.
You could have made Major Payne the veteran of the day.
Almost possibly was though, because I think I was commenting on the fact he had like the shiniest like cluster badge I've ever seen. Like it's like clearly not. It's with the military one. That's clearly like not even like Air Force would wear that. So it was like glowing.
All right,
So
that would be another
Major Payne.
That would be that's another tidbit. That's the stuff that they do so well. They sneak this stuff in on us, right?
There you go.
So young Kenny starts to get bullied, which is okay. They give you a little backdrop, mom's working hard, dad's deployed in the Middle East. Brother is the older brother who was beating up, Robbie in juvie. And this kid's kind of like onto himself, and he's getting picked on. The problem is that one of the kids picking on him is young Anthony LaRusso, who had his.
By the way, could any of us recognize that was him? Like I had to be told that was like LaRusso 4 times.
Yeah, but the thing,
it was the kid.
But like he actually transformed in season 3. From like season 2 to season 3, I feel like, because that was like we were like looking at him like, wait a minute, like he was in the early parts he was, he was like a heavier kid, and then all of a sudden he's like not, and then to me like the line of the whole, I can't remember if it was this episode or not, but the first time Johnny Lawrence sees Anthony LaRusso, I think it's later in the season, he just looks at him, he goes, wait, you're the son? He goes, yeah. He goes, would you like switch to Whopper Juniors? It had to be later in the season because I was like probably 3 or 4 bourbon and gingers in, and I couldn't stop laughing at that. Like I was laughing like a tea kettle. I was like, so that was to me there were some lines in the season that were great. That was definitely like in the top 5, but that
was solid.
So Anthony, he's not the heavy kid that he was anymore, but he's not in shape because he's not in the dojo, right? Like he's not putting in the work. He's not really interested.
He's big, but it's loose in the cage.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. He's got potential. He's just not.
He's got the frame.
He's not, but he's not even trying to scratch the surface.
Nope.
So, that's like, I think that was the episode where they pretend online to be the girl that Kenny befriended in school, and then they make him dress up and go out in the field and cosplay, and then they like beat him up and make fun of him and make the video, and there's all kinds of stuff going around.
So doing a little public service there on the cyberbullying, so keeping it topical.
Yeah, I mean it's
they
relevant.
address it later.
And the interesting thing too, I think, is that they kept it in 2019, so it was like a pre-COVID thing, and you could tell because they did the 51st annual All Valley Karate Tournament, which makes it 2019, so they didn't have to have like their masks on and stuff, and
that's a good point.
being that it takes place in California, Stan,
People's Republic of California.
Yeah. So, like, let's see, what else? That's when Daniel...
We love our California fans, though.
Daniel and Johnny are trying to buddy each other up now from agreeing to learn each other's styles. So Johnny's got to learn the Miyagi stuff, and he's kind of buying in a little bit. He's doing the painting and the wax on, wax off kind of thing, at least the motions. And then Daniel has got to do the eagle fang stuff, and he's got to beat up 4 hockey players, and which I was like, oh, okay, we got some hockey going on. So that was a little tough.
That was some of the best scenes, I think, of the season.
Yeah, where
Great.
so the hockey stuff was kind of funny. I mean, but again, it's like such a stretch. Like, why would these guys like be out in their gear in like the hallway? But like, it could happen. I don't know.
Never know. He's getting under their skin.
And it's also California, and people at least play hockey there now more so than like if they tried pulling that in the 80s, you'd be like, who in the 80s in California? Like, there's no hockey. Like, it's not even, the Kings were there and like nobody else. Now at least you could kind of believe that. Then you got the whole thing where Amanda LaRusso is threatening Tori to like stay the hell away from Sam, and then she's like finds out how bad like Tori's life is, and she does like the whole grocery thing, and like Tori brings the groceries there and like basically throws them on the floor and basically just tells her to like go fuck herself and stay out of the way. So
yeah.
So that was building. So they did a good job like planting a lot of the seeds by the first 2 episodes. That's really good like plot management. All right, let me jump off this page for a second to see.
The whole Tori thing was getting a little tiring, I thought. But all right.
What was?
The whole Tori like subplot. Like, I don't know, it just got to be too much.
Oh yeah, it was
like,
but you know what? Like it's
she is a big character though.
It's for the sake of the build up though. Like they have to build up that character. They have to give her like some substance now, because that for like season 5, she's gonna come like more and more full circle, and the another jump the shark thing is the meeting in the All Valley committee where they're like
funny.
they're talking about like how they're moving into the future, and they finally have a girls division.
That was great. That was probably the most spot on of like anything. That's exactly where it went down.
Oh yeah, totally. Like 2019, we're really advancing with the future. They're like not having girls and boys fight each other, and which everybody else started this in like the 80s. Meanwhile, it's like 2019. They're like, oh, okay, we're gonna have a girls division now. We're like showing everybody the way. Okay. Then episode 3 is the big dinner scene, right? Where everybody gets together, and then they trade students. Johnny and Daniel trade their students so they could start to learn. Kenny goes into Cobra Kai, and like Kreese kicks his ass a little bit, and I think that's where Robbie like finds him, and then finds out like who his brother is, takes him under his wing a little bit. So that was really like the Kenny episode to me. Like they did a little some of like the Miguel Sam stuff to kind of push that narrative like a little bit further, but like to me that was really the Kenny episode, and that's where Johnny and Carmen, Miguel's mom, decide to like, hey, jump in there a little bit, like with each other together. And all right, so that was a pretty that was like the episode where if you needed to take a pee break, you take a pee break, or you weren't worried about too much.
That was character development.
Yeah, character development. That was the episode where Dawg was explaining to Kat what Kat missed in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Episode 4 is Carmen's car dies, and that's when Miguel gets helped by Daniel, who's like, well, I'm not going to fix the car, but I'll teach you how to fix the car, and we'll tow it. And now they're like buddying, and they're spending time together. And
be a man, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like giving him that
I went too far. I got
that father figure. Yeah, that the father figure. But again, is like, what's Daniel's intention? Like, his intention is kind of good, but his execution is always like he's always got to overstep it, because
He's got to overshadow Johnny in every way possible.
Right, because Mr. Miyagi always said to do that. Mr. Miyagi said Mr. Miyagi said that, which also is funny. Like they make the LaRussos kind of like kind of like assholes. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's kind of like you're kind of like, why is Daniel like always such a dick? Like he was the guy that I loved. Like that's the reason why I started watching this. And now you're like, dude, why do you always have to like be a control freak and quote Mr. Miyagi, like the way I don't know. Give me something here, dog. The way somebody does something all the time. The way whatever. The way Steve Cohen always has to, give news about the Mets franchise on Twitter.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's always whatever's coming out. It's just coming out from there because Mr. Miyagi said to do that. And so we got that. And Kreese then, as this is going on, Kreese brings Terry Silver into the sensei role for Cobra Kai once again, repatriating him to Cobra Kai after 30-something years. And they gave us the backstory of, like, why he left, and his father wanted him to go run the empire or whatever the hell it was, and he just didn't have time, so he failed Kreese. And I think this is the one where they start talking about what each other's weaknesses are, and Kreese perceived himself as not having a weakness, and he was shocked when Terry, kind of just blurted out that everybody has a weakness and you have to figure out what it is. The dog's weakness, as you could see, is movies and fake movie character baseball teams. If you're watching the video, if not, Dog can explain what he's wearing.
Little shout out to Mr. Super 70s Sports on here. Got the official Knights #9 for my boy Roy Hobbs. So those of you remember from the movie episode that we did, that The Natural is my favorite baseball movie. So I finally got that.
So there you go.
I got another T-shirt. I'll be wearing another episode.
Oh, yeah, surprised me because I was surprised at this one.
So yes, I got another goodie stashed away. Not a baseball one, but a pretty goodie.
Oh baby. Let's see. Okay, so this is where
We're gonna drive that.
Tori
Daniel takes Miguel out without a permit.
Oh yeah,
that's what you do in California, right?
Yeah, and maybe even in New Jersey sometimes.
More on that later.
More on that later. I will say that all of the Rizzo children have their permits, so I've just heard stories about what happens in town, but we're law-abiding citizens. Okay, so Tori lost the other job that she had as a waitress when Amanda confronted her. I think we didn't really cover that part. We covered like the next part. And now it turns out that Tori has a new job doing like character
this was well set up, I thought.
Character role playing for like children's parties. Yeah. And Amanda and Sam happen to be at the kid party, and now poor Tori has to do the acting in front, and you just got to watch that scene. There's no spoiler to that. Like
it was a great setup as behind when the manager comes back originally, and you're 100% that this is a strip club, right?
Oh yeah.
And it sorts it all up, put some more makeup on, get out there, girls,
And the girls are wearing bikini tops, and
yeah, exactly,
and like a lot of makeup and
whatever. And then, oops,
it's a little kid party. Like, all right, whatever. I mean, maybe in season 5, who knows? But then Johnny would walk in for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then we'd have like, wow, maybe we just wrote some of the episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
5. Talk about spoilers.
You can't jump our shark.
I know. Wow. Actually, you know what? We're going to have to mark this episode down, being with our track record of predicting the future months and months in advance.
I think that is true. I think we just did it again.
Tori works at a strip club, and Johnny shows up. That's there. We'll mark it down. January 5th. January 5th, 2022. Okay. Johnny has the flashbacks, right? And he's talking about how to break he and Carmen are talking about how to break the news to Miguel that Miguel, his sensei is now his mom's boyfriend. So they're trying to figure that out, and of course it ends up in some awkward way. But that was good. I like the way they did it.
They did a good job.
let's see. Robbie then talks to Johnny about Kenny, and then the conversation between them. That's like the father son conversation, like and
He's like, keep him away from Terry Silver and all that, right? If I remember
yeah,
right.
yeah. He
All
tries
that.
to
It's
keep
like,
yeah.
no, I'm not gonna be a jerk like you because I know who I am and blah blah blah.
Right, like he's using them, not like he's not going to get used by them because he's using them, that kind of thing. Like he's kind
Yeah.
of smarter than the father.
Yeah.
He's not getting manipulated. Um, then
Tough
they
to tough to
have
be a, tough to be a dad in Cobra Kai.
the Miguel is an asshole part where they're at the drive-in, and Hawk knocks all the crap out of Kenny's hands, and now that's coming to a head, and Miguel's like, okay, meet at the baseball field in 30 minutes. So this is Diamond Diehards because they met
That is
at the
true. You know
baseball
what? You
field.
did. We tied it together.
Yeah. So this is the Diamond Diehards part. They meet at the baseball field, and of course, Miguel has, you know, because because baseball is life. He knows exactly what time the sprinklers are going to go off on the baseball field. So
And has
all the
access to
Cobra
lights.
Kai's, and he has air, right? Well, he knows that the lights are going to go off like right after the sprinklers go on, which is, that could happen. That's not even that much of a stretch, but he knows, or he has access to the lights, whatever.
And the lights are on because no one's playing. So
Well, they
the sodium lights taking a half an hour to warm up.
Yeah, it's all good. We could stretch.
It worked.
We could stretch it a little bit. So
It worked.
the sprinklers go on. All the Cobra Kai
The
kids
Polo
get
Field
wet.
of Dreams.
The Cobra Kai kids get wet, and the Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang kids they get a good charge out of it. But like the idea was like, hey, here's the fight, and in the end they didn't show up, so it was a trap. So whose side are you on? It makes you kind of pick sides. You're like, well,
I'm all Cobra Kai in this one.
yeah,
Yeah.
Cobra
exactly.
Kai showed up,
Yep.
but it was a trick. So and I think that's that also one of the lines that reminded me of one of the lines where Johnny talks after the hockey fight, where Daniel was fighting the 4 hockey players by himself, and then Johnny walks back in with a pretzel, and Daniel's like, "Where the hell were you?" And Johnny's like, "Oh man, what was the Miyagi line?"
He quotes back the Miyagi line,
yeah.
which Daniel had said earlier in the episode or the season. He goes, "Best defense, no be there."
Oh yeah, no be. Where were you? No be there. I'm like, what?
Which is
That's
tremendous.
tremendous. Oh my god. So he showed that he learned, his Miyagi-Do stuff.
Exactly.
So okay, so we got that, and let's see. Then we're on to like the 5th episode, and if we don't speed it up here, this is going to be longer than the Stratomatic Ratings episode.
I was looking over a couple times. All right, that's the episode 5. What we got here? So we got Terry apologizing to Daniel, asks him and Kreese to leave, and then Kreese dogs out Johnny for playing second fiddle. All right, so that's sort
Right,
of
yeah,
ongoing.
so he
that's
was-
sort of
he
like an
was-
ongoing one. It seems like almost every episode has that.
Right, so that's like he feels like Johnny's weakness is that Johnny's always got to be the alpha, right? So this is a lot about like always picking on the weaknesses. Like that was a solid theme throughout season 4.
Yep.
So he's like, yeah, come on, you're gonna like, why aren't you in charge? Like you want to be in charge, and you're gonna let that guy, like of all people, that guy you're gonna let do it? I mean, he's totally tweaking him, totally, and
Yeah.
tweaking him well,
Yeah, exactly.
effectively.
Getting in his head. So then, so Johnny doesn't really know about the whole Terry Silver thing. So then Daniel like gets him up to speed on what sort of guy Silver is and stuff like that. And then Daniel goes and says, "Well, since I beat him in 1985, of course I'm the guy to go and train our students to go do the same, because I am the great Daniel LaRusso, 2-time All Valley champion." So Johnny respectfully disagrees with Daniel and says, "Let's catch me outside." And they're like, "Let's get it." It's all like Donkey Kong. So that's it. We're finally gonna get our fight that we keep teasing, as Riz was saying, like keep teasing it the whole way that they're gonna get it. So now this whole episode is sort of them getting ready. Johnny with a brilliant. Actually, this is another one of my favorite scenes. The brilliant training montage, like a total '80s flashback to like Rocky and everything else. And Johnny Lawrence just going along, like smashing the guy with the scooter, which is another tremendous Johnny Lawrence move. Guy's just like choo along, just sitting there, a little loose in the cage still, like kind of hitting the wave. The wave's hitting more of him than he's hitting the wave. But it was a great scene for a middle-aged guy to watch.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
I mean, you were literally there for that scene.
Oh, I was all in. Like I needed oxygen to get me through that scene. I think I was correct. And Daniel's like not even Daniel's just assuming that like
it's all a joke.
It's never gonna happen. You know, he's not
completely
training.
hungover.
Johnny's like totally obsessed and like all in.
So
and of course,
for a day.
Yeah, they have the fight, and of course it's the Rocky 2 ending, the double knockout.
Yeah.
Except nobody gets up, and now so they have the fight, and nothing is solved.
Yes.
So,
but they're done.
But they're done.
So both sides are like, that's it. Neither one of us can work together.
Now there was a big scene in this episode because the drive-in. The drive-in would-be fight was perpetuated, like we said, by Hawk knocking all the stuff out of Kenny's hand and telling him like, Cobra Kai could go screw itself, and Robbie now unhawks Hawk. He shaves the mohawk off, and Hawk had changed the mohawk to purple, and his ex was digging it, so Hawk was getting his confidence back a little bit, but now he's declawed. He's de-talent, right?
Yeah, he literally got in his head.
He literally did, yeah. On his head, whatever.
Yeah, he was done.
He cuts off the mohawk, and Hawk now wants to quit karate completely, and he needs Dimitri to like talk him off the ledge, basically. And that was like Dimitri's best scene, I think, where he's like trying to go back and find his old buddy, and then they show the video, and that was like.
Yeah, he really came on like the second half of the season. They actually finally gave him a reason to do something other than like just be a whiny, dorky kid.
He was my dark horse. I thought they were gonna figure out a way in the plot line for him to win, and I almost had it right.
Yeah, it was right there.
I should have gone for Eli. Like I was like that shit. Yeah, they were giving it to me. They were because he's better, right? Like he's better. Like we know how good he is, and he might have been able to win last year if his head was screwed on straight and he wasn't too much.
Exactly. All right, so our next episode, which kicks get chicks, which is another tremendous '80s throwback sort of title of the episode. So we talked about it before with the All Valley board coming together, and it's literally exactly everyone you think would be in charge of doing a karate tournament in California. So a ridiculous sort of boardroom scene on that of a bunch of like over involved parents coming together to try and set this thing up. So then they come up with some crazy new tournament rules. So that throws a whole wrinkle on the whole like. Cobra Kai win. Before it was just like you win the championship and that's it. You're in this. Now all of a sudden we have a skills competition. So they throw a skills competition in. They got the girls division and the boys division. So all separate. So you have 3 different ones going here right now. So immediately that gives like a big advantage to Cobra Kai, who's a bigger dojo, and got more representation on them and so forth. And now also Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang are kind of hosed because they sort of divided their forces again. So
Eagle Fang doesn't even have a girl.
Exactly, at all.
Yeah, so, like no girl. That's it.
Yeah. So things are a little tough for Johnny. That did not work in Johnny's favor there. He kind of got hosed on the draw on that one. So, but does he whine about it? Or does he do something about it?
He does something about it.
Because Johnny's on the offense. Right?
Thanks to the debate team. And Johnny's hanging out a lot at the high school. He's just always he's just a 50-something dude with a headband who just just showing up on the high school fields and in the high school hallways.
Talking to the girls running.
And like the triplets just they're cracking up like every time they see it. They're like,
it was so
how is he always
so
in there?
well done though, right? Like
Oh yeah.
you were like inside the joke with it.
Oh yeah, you're totally in, and like he has no self-awareness of it. Like he's just literally back in the '80s, like that you could just show up there, like and you know, and nobody ever seems to like ask him to leave. They just kind of give him weird looks, like dude, it says like what is this creeper, you know? And then like you're just on to the next scene. So they get the girl from the debate team who. He's like, you know, Johnny's saucer-eyed when he sees her in the debate. And of course, like she turns out to be, you know, like maybe she's got her.
Actually, first, remember he goes after.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the ex-girlfriend of the girl. So we got to work that little angle there too. So like,
so he goes after the athlete,
like the best woman, best girl athlete in the high school. So they're like, all right, she's going to go. It's like, yeah, I'm into karate. She's like, all right, things are finally going to go Johnny's way. Like, he finally got someone in. He brought someone else new into karate. And, of course, who she wound up joining?
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Makes a video on Instagram. She's so psyched.
Oh, man.
She's got Tori with her. I'm like, yeah, but see, I caught that. I was like, oh, this works out perfectly. Because now you have a Cobra Kai in this girls' semifinals with Tori, and you have the other girl. And you have Sam and you have the Eagle Fang girl. So I'm like, now we have the matchups.
Yeah.
So Tori's going to win and the other girl's going to lose in the semifinals.
Yeah.
And that's the way, you know, eventually it's going to go down, right? So, well,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, the whole thing. The whole show is literally a spoiler alert. So we're reliving it.
So then you have your great scene with Dimitri. Talking to Hawk, so Hawk's all like, "Oh, what was me? Blah blah blah. They cut my hair off, so now I've just given up on everything, and I'm a loser. I'm doing whatever now."
Well, but you know, like you go back into the early episodes, and it wasn't that long ago that he was a bullied introvert, and now they've he rises up, but he's being bullied back into submission, and his tough guyness is being suppressed. Like he never really achieves that like alphaness and is able to hold on to it. And now that, Robbie's kind of got his number, and so it was a good job. Good job by Dimitri over there. Good job. He had to fight Hawk one time. The tough fight put him through the glass.
But then Hawk reemerges as a good guy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and he's always shown that. Yeah. Like that's the one where you always get bits and pieces, and sort of like where Johnny always kind of gets there and then he does something stupid. Like Hawk's kind of there and then he does something stupid and then he comes back to being a good guy. Yeah. So their character development stuff is like they just do such a good job with it. Like always taking these kids, switching sides. In
a 90210 sort of way,
yeah. Yeah. But that's one of the greatest shows ever, right?
That's true. And then we have Tori coming back for her. So she gets they get the arrangement with Tori, and Amanda has to say that she can come back to school.
That was big, right? That was like big.
The whole like destroying the place.
Yeah, because she's reaching out. That was a great line too. Tori's at the door, and you could see she's like, the first thing she says is, "I need help." And you're like, oh, wow, she's breaking her down, and she's actually coming to Amanda. And Amanda opens the door, and you're like, having this heartfelt scene, you're like, okay, is Tori going to finally, like, come around? And you're like, they're pulling at your heartstrings, and she opens the door. She goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure you know the way in. That was a great line. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know the way in. Like, from when you destroyed my house.
Exactly.
So she gets the blessing from Amanda because she needs Amanda to give the blessing for her to go back into school.
Yeah. Does Amanda talk to Daniel about it?
No, why would you do that?
Oh, no, of course. It's the father. It doesn't matter.
She's got it under control.
Yeah. Once again.
He's the crazy one.
Yeah.
He's the crazy one for keeping these karate things on for 30 years. She's not the crazy one for stalking the 17-year-old girl. like at school, at work, whatever.
Cost her multiple jobs.
How about just call the cops the first time and get the kid thrown into juvie?
Perhaps.
And then if you feel bad, send the mom a check. Pick up a hospital bill for the mom, right? Well, whatever.
There we go. Then she goes back to school, and Sam she goes on the offensive.
Oh yeah,
gets right in her grill.
Sam goes all Eagle Fang.
Yeah.
Now we did see that. So Johnny's message emanated with Sam.
Oh, that's true. We should go back down that one. With the training method.
Yeah, the training method where they're on the roof, and Johnny wants them to jump from a rooftop to a rooftop. Basically, like they're just making fun of themselves. Like nobody's gonna do that. Like,
there's 50 feet in the air.
Yeah, and there's
mattresses on the ground.
Yeah, there's mattresses down there if you don't make it. But like you gotta believe in yourself, and like you can't. Your parents would always tell you never to do it, but like you gotta believe. And then Sam finally, like they're about to leave, and whatever he says just resonates with her, and she makes the leap. Even though out of all the people on the entire show, like I would bet her last to be able to make the leap, but nonetheless, Sam does make the leap, and that Eagle Fang message is now implanted somewhere, not all the way back in the brain, somewhere kind of in the front part, in the still yet to be fully developed frontal lobe of Samantha LaRusso. So this comes out. She's striking first.
A little foreshadowing there.
And telling Tori, just screw off.
I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you. That's it. So there's going to be no détente between those two. Then you have one of the funny scenes too, where they're at the convenience store next to Cobra Kai, and Daniel gets Robbie in there, and he's telling him like everything about Terry Silver, like what he did, and how this guy's gonna manipulate you, and he's only using you as a pawn, and blah 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 blah. And then Terry just happens to walk in, because despite having his own personal chef, he needs the 99-cent pizza from
He's next door. He's fixing up the old dojo. Which once again, there's no reason in the world for people to all be there, yet they're all there for like half the season.
Yeah, and it's
an
just,
empty storefront.
Yeah, it's
unlocked apparently.
Yeah, that you could just go in whenever you want. There's nothing to steal except all the stuff that you could steal. Exactly. Then Terry, talks to Robbie. And then the guy behind the counter delivers one of the great lines, and he's like, "Yeah, if you're going to use this as a conference room, I'm going to have to charge you." So those little lines,
they immediately regretted his decision.
Yeah, those little lines are like the lifeblood of this show. Like it just and they will deliver them at any point, and we'll get to like another one. So let's see. We get to episode 7 now, right?
Yeah.
And that's when this is the unraveling of Anthony LaRusso, who they're in the locker room getting changed after gym class, I guess, and then Anthony sees the Cobra Kai stuff, right? And then he steals it from him.
Yeah.
And Kenny runs out into the hallway in his underwear, and everybody's laughing at him. So it's another embarrassing thing. So that really lights the fire under Kenny. That's going to be the end. That's going to be the thing that, that breaks him. And then, of course, like we'll see later that Anthony's father sees that he's got a Cobra Kai shirt, and he's like wondering. But, his son's basically an angel, except that he's so not. He might be worse.
Which again was great, right? Because that is like the class of like, my kid couldn't possibly be a bully.
Yeah, he might be worse than the daughter. The interrogation though goes basically nowhere. And he basically says that like Kenny was the one that was instigating the fight, because he knows his father's weakness is Cobra Kai. So we're back to the weakness thing, and he knows like if he tells them anything about Cobra Kai, that they're instigating it, that the dad's just going to believe it, and he's going to go and try to take somebody's head off with defense, of course.
Yep. So he goes in to all set to address the principal, but the principal has got the video.
The principal, has the video and addresses him.
He's ready to roll.
And it does not go well for
And
young Anthony.
Principal does a great job on it. And he highlights, and that's where it was great, like talking about the cyberbullying early on. And basically everybody got suspended for their involvements in it. And, it was a fair outcome.
We foreshadowed, this is the episode where Carmen and Johnny tell Miguel about the relationship awkwardly. So that took about 3-4 episodes for it to happen. Anthony actually tries to join Miyagi-Do, right? But he's kind of joining on like.
Is it the next? Is it this episode or is it the later one?
Well, this says Miyagi-Do students and Anthony weapons training.
It's
so
the same one.
So then he's doing wax on and wax off on the car, but it turns out that he just paid some guy to wash all the cars, which was great.
The second Daniel walks away.
Yeah, like the second he walks away, pays some guy to come in and wash all the cars.
With his own credit card, which, by the way, is so Diehard Dad right there.
Oh, yeah. That's our Diehard Dads right there. Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah. We could probably cut that in.
Yeah, we'll just that's it. We'll just say that's
we'll save our own.
That's it.
That says it for all of us.
Let's see. Miguel he starts to have the confrontation with Johnny because he feels like he's getting treated different because Johnny's going out with Carmen and now it's like an open thing. And I think this is the episode.
This is a great one. With the teaching the dirty tricks.
Oh, yeah. No, but isn't this the one, the heartbreaking line where Miguel discovers like drunk Johnny and he's bringing him to bed and he's just saying, and Johnny's like pouring out to Miguel. He's like, I just want to be a good dad to you, but I suck at it. And it's all I really want to do.
I think that's the next episode.
Oh, is it the next one? Okay.
That's the next one.
Well, we'll foreshadow it since I kind of jumped in. But
let's just roll through it. So he goes. All right. So let's sit to the next one. So he goes. He tries to take on Terry and Kreese. It basically just Terry just wipes Johnny out. So knocks him all over the place, and Johnny comes back basically a beaten guy. And this was actually an interesting one where you saw that Kreese was totally not digging what Sensei Silver was doing with him.
Yeah.
So Sensei Silver was like, "Oh, I'm going to show you I'm loyal by beating up the enemy," and Kreese was like, "No, this isn't actually what I was gunning for, and this isn't what I want."
So
Johnny still gets the butt kicked anyway.
So and then drunken beat up Johnny's on the floor, and Miguel sees him and he picks him up and he brings him to his bed and Johnny's pouring out his heart and just saying how he wants to be such a good dad to him, but he sucks at it and it's all he ever really wanted to do and he's just going to keep trying. And Miguel is like totally touched and he says, good night. And then Johnny turns over and he says, good night, Robbie. And you're like,
And I'll be honest, I completely missed that until I saw the review here.
Oh, really?
I totally missed the good night. I totally missed the good night, good night, Robbie.
Good night, Robbie was a big line. That was because that like leads into all of the
starts
rest
to make up the rest of it. He might not be Bobby Bo now. I might have to take that back a little bit.
No, you don't have to. Then this was also the episode 8 was when Terry beats up Stingray.
Yes.
Which becomes a huge part. George Morris, you better jump off here if you don't want the spoilers. By the way, the chat's been pretty good. Debbie Rizzo's been dominating it with Georgia Morris. She's like, she could have been doing this show. She probably should have been doing this with us.
Yes.
So Terry beats up Stingray, and Stingray's in the hospital, and we're like, oh boy, this is going to be something. You don't know what it's going to be until literally the last scene of the season, right? So that moves us. I think that safely gets us into episode 9.
Well, we do have to touch real quick the Daniel's cousin Vanessa completely shredding LaRusso parenting, which was so spot on. And like you're saying the whole thing of why you always have to be in control, why you always have to be this, basically why you always have to be a jerk if you're supposed to be the good guy in this series. And Vanessa, who was made to be the buffoon, comes in and then completely blows him up.
By the way, that actress, do you know who she is?
No.
It's Ralph Macchio's daughter.
Wow. Oh,
Yep.
That's good. That's a great one, Riz. That's a great one.
It's Ralph Macchio's daughter. Diehard Dads. My daughter comes in and shreds me
Shreds him.
on the most popular series in Netflix. Shreds his parenting, of all things. And then she's writing on the pad, "This is the test," and she just throws it at Amanda, walks off.
Oh yeah, she spiked the ball.
That wasn't even a mic drop. That was like
that was the bat flip.
Oh
That
yeah,
was the bat flip of Cobra Kai.
yeah. That was Joey Bat's level bat flip.
Yeah, that was solid.
That bat still hasn't landed. That's how big of a bat flip that was. Yeah, that was.
All right, so now we get to episode 9. We've finally reached the tournament.
Okay, we're at the all, which is
George, you gotta get off. We're gonna blow it all right now.
Which you feel like is kind of dubious. Like I was like, wow, we're in the tournament in episode 9. I'm like, is the tournament gonna last all the way through episode 10? I'm like, no, these writers and producers they're brilliant. I'm like, they're gonna give us a lot here, and then they're gonna give us plenty to get into season 5, which we know already was commissioned, which is good. It's good to know, right? Like if it wasn't commissioned, you'd feel like
someone might die.
Yeah, everybody would just die. So now you have Cobra Kai, Eagle Fang, and Miyagi-Do all having to go head to head, and you got the usual prep scenes and whatever. And
the guy doing the introductions again, tremendous.
Oh yeah,
so way over the top. Like so 80s, so fantastic.
But then they sneak in the guy who's like runs the board. He's like the director of the board.
Nobody likes him.
Who everybody hates, and they're like, this guy's such a clown, like the celebrity appearance, whatever. And then all of a sudden he takes the mic, and they're like, the other people, like even the announcer guy's like, what the hell is he doing? And he's like, and we bring you Carrie Underwood. And like Carrie Underwood shows up, and she starts like
totally cranks the song.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm like, how many people would have killed to have been in that spot, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, if they did, that would count as Diamond Diehards, right? Tim McGraw was there.
Yeah, they totally crushed their cameo there.
So Carrie Underwood gets like the one cameo in Cobra Kai, and so okay, you got the girls going on, you got the guys going on.
They start battling, yeah. So you got the lower stuff, and everyone's kind of facing the unknown people in general.
And they're doing the weapons, and basically you got Cobra Kai's first, Miyagi-Do's second, and Eagle Fang's way back in 6th. Yeah. But Devin, the girl who was, the girl genius who came in for Eagle Fang, she always has like the math figured out, and she figures that there's still a way that Eagle Fang could be alive.
No stereotyping going on at all in this one.
No, none, zero. And they're doing it on purpose, like they're making fun of it, right? Like, I mean, so if people don't get it, they don't get it. But that's part of the whole, jumping the shark, unjumpable shark kind of thing. Yeah. So she's always got the math down, and keeping you in it. It's like the way the NFL is going to tell us that, certain teams are alive this weekend, even though they're not in the playoff race, like when they're playing each other. Like, no, they're really like the Colts are going to beat the Jaguars, and like everybody else is going to be eliminated. So like there's really not that much drama, but okay, if you say so, guys. So Devin loses to Tori, but she's still important because she's figuring out the math and knows that Eagle Fang Eagle Fang could still win the whole thing depending on like how it goes. Daniel notices and they're making it very evident, so you don't even have to be Daniel to notice that the Cobra Kai students are using the Miyagi-Do moves because Robbie taught them that. Like we were saying a few, episodes ago, Robbie's saying Miyagi-Do shows this. And obviously Robbie's a better teacher than Kreese or Silver because they're doing Miyagi-Do perfectly. In fact, he's probably even a better teacher than Daniel or Mr. Miyagi because he taught all these people Miyagi-Do karate in 6 weeks. And they're better at it than the Miyagi-Do people. So So Hawk has to Hawk has to get his courage back, and he does
Beats
because
Bald Bull.
right, he builds baseball ball. But Moon, the girlfriend there, the former girlfriend, gives him his confidence back, and he beats the bully Kyler, right? Like the sort of nemesis, right? The guy that he talks big and he just always comes up
Yeah.
small. He's basically like Kirk Cousins. Like he's just like you're like, wow, this guy's
Or,
like
or say
good.
the Met batting lineup last year.
Yeah. It's,
The whole fucking thing.
He's basically like the Yankee lineup until they face a curveball pitcher in a playoff game. We held them to 1 run. You lost. You scored 0 and you struck out 17 times and didn't walk. So we're gonna take that as
Surprisingly.
yeah. We'll go.
So Sam uses Eagle Fang, right? So she's like all befuddled, like, oh no, they have Miyagi-Do. I don't know what to do.
Well, she had to combine. First, she uses Miyagi-Do, but then Piper, Moon's ex, there was using it on her. So Johnny had been called over by Daniel, and they were double senseiing it, and Sam was given the right to just do her own thing. So first, she starts out by using Miyagi-Do, and she finishes by using Eagle Fang to set up the great finals match with Tori. But the boys go first. The boys go first.
The wife was claiming that was the most unrealistic thing in Cobra Kai.
No, not
the
anymore.
girls' match should be the final. I also said, hey, this is the whole thing. Like, they got highlighted, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, but the UFC. Listen, if the best match is a women's match, that's the headliner.
There you go.
And that's what we all wanted to see.
That's what we're trying to say.
That's what we're going for. If I was the matchmaker, I'm putting the girls first too, as long as it's those two against each other. Which, let's face it, we knew, that was going to be the final.
Episode 5, you knew that.
Yeah, well, episode before the whole series even started, you knew that. Like, who's Tori? I don't know, but she's going to be in the finals against Sam in episode 4.
She's a tough
season 4.
She's a tough girl. She's going to stand up to that rich girl.
Yeah. So
cue every 80s movie.
a big scene was when Kenny,
yes,
little Kenny, gets to the semifinals, and he's got to go against Robbie, and they get in Robbie's head, and he basically just destroys Kenny.
Yeah.
Like, really fucks him up. Like, he doesn't just beat him. He, like, really wrecks him.
Humiliates him, yeah.
Yeah, he humiliates him. But it is in the back of his head, because Daniel saw him in the back and was like, look, you got to be bigger than whatever they're telling you, and it's more important than just a tournament, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And
he realizes he's gone too far.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's
and now they want him to cheat, and he's like, not going to cheat. So Miguel and Hawk are now competing against one another in the semifinals, and you're like, okay, Miguel's gonna
good fight here. Here we go.
He's gonna have all he could handle, because we have like the newly confidence level, and Miguel does like this spin move, the tornado move, and he flops on the mat.
Like,
and you're like
he broke his hip again.
Yeah, or the back, or well,
they're screaming, "Sensei!" All this stuff. I'm like, oh my god, the kid like re-snapped whatever happened when they couldn't walk and the whole deal. I'm like, that's it. Was that what happened?
Well,
no.
that's what.
No, he just pulled a muscle.
That's what they made it think.
Like, wait a minute.
And then I they had the same.
I thought this kid was literally like paralyzed.
the same like EMT conversation from when Daniel got hurt on the illegal kick. It was the same. It was like, might have been the same. I don't know if it was the same actress, but it was like the same conversation. Like, yeah, it's if you could stand the pain, you could go. It's like a female EMT. She's in the back. The same thing. It's the exact same scene, from like Karate Kid. And so now they do the countdown.
There's a couple questionable ref calls too.
Yes, a couple of questionable ref calls, but again, it's
didn't really change the stuff or anything, but a couple of questionable ones within there.
This is not the Professional Karate Association, so we do have a little leeway, but you do expect that that judge, who's judging every single match, which is quite a feat. You expect him to be, pretty good. Yeah. So we're waiting now for Miguel. We got the big clock going on, the countdown clock. He has 30 minutes to make it back to the mat. And you know that he's
Devin calls it out too.
And you know he's going to make it back. Yeah. She's like, a little dramatic. We got the clock up there. And you know he's going to make it back with like 1 second left, whatever.
Not to talk to him.
Yeah, and we're all good. And here's
the magic Bengay.
Yep. And rub this on it and you'll be good. And, basically Victor Conti gave him a thing of cream from Balco. He had the Balco cream. Don't care. And then, to our chagrin, time expires.
Yeah, that was it.
And Eli gets the walkover into the finals. And I think it ends there, right? And then we go into episode 10. So
I think that's the beginning of episode 10.
That was the beginning of episode 10.
Yeah, like first, at end of episode 9, like Miguel's broken and can never walk again.
Oh, right, yeah.
Beginning of episode 10, I'm like, we just got to pull back.
Well, you had a lot of time between episodes to heal up.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was the clock, and then we're into episode 10.
And Anthony apologized to Kenny. And Kenny responds, but kicked the crap out of him.
Yeah, Kenny's like, you can take your apology and shove it as far up your ass as humanly possible. Even though we're like 8th graders, and he basically tells them to like not report to high school next year, which, let's face it, in real life, like Mr. LaRusso just springs for the $38,000 private school, like, two doors down from his house, and not not like the equally beautiful public school.
Valley High.
All Valley High. Whatever.
I know. Pretty high property taxes.
Yeah, well,
kids going out of school, damn it.
California Stan. So we're in.
So Miguel disappears. Nobody knows where he is.
Right. Miguel disappears and you're like shocked. So he gets to walk over into the final. And now it's going to be Hawk and Robbie in the final. And Hawk realizes, he's like, I haven't been with Cobra Kai, for a while, and I've been there longer than I was with Miyagi-Do, and he does Miyagi-Do better than me. So like, just Cobra Kai, you're good. Don't worry about the integrity of like 400 years of karate from Okinawa. Just fuck it, use the Cobra Kai. They're all rivals. Just use the Cobra Kai. Don't worry about it.
You do what you got.
You're Hawk. You could do whatever. You're a Hawk because you're without the thing.
So they get. Yes, then he kicks the gi off, so Robbie has to take the gi off. So Hawk does too. So now we got that for the teenage girls watching the show.
Yeah,
so,
for
they're duking it out now.
For the final, I think that was only for the final point, right? Because it went to overtime.
Yeah,
and it goes to
in the sudden death.
Yeah, or sudden victory. As they call it, in real life now, because it's more politically correct. But in Cobra Kai, it's sudden death still,
that's what it's supposed
right?
to be.
So they go to sudden death, and
block.
A lot of blocking, a lot of defense.
Equally matched.
Got to say, it was one of the best overtime periods I've ever seen.
Yes.
And Hawk comes up the victor, and Robbie is taking it like a champion. And he's upset, he's mad, he takes it like a champion, goes back, collects his thoughts, but he repatriates his position next to his teammates at the side of the mat for the women's final. The main event.
Off and sulk, right? That's good.
Gets there to support Tori against Sam, and this one goes down. Not to overtime, right? But it goes down to, it was 2-2.
2-2. There was a questionable one where
right.
Sam had gotten a point and was disallowed, that they were out of bounds.
Yeah.
Which was questionable.
I don't think it was questionable. I mean, I think you watch the replay and it's really clear. Even in real time, you're like, she won. That's it. I was celebrating. I ran out of the room. And the kids were like, wait, Dad, come back. I'm like, why? They're like, it wasn't a point. I'm like, no, it was a point. It's good. Let's go celebrate New Year. No, come back.
There you go. All right.
Right. Basically, it was the ref who was there was the same ref as the Miami Ohio State ref that called the pass interference 5 minutes after the play was over in 2001. Thereby taking away a national championship from Miami that I still credit to the U, by the way. So I'll just put that out there. Anyway, no point given.
That's right.
Even though it was clear that it was.
And we had the whole talk, like Daniel and Jai, so they tell her, like, do whatever she's got to do to make it her own way, et cetera, et cetera. Kind of setting the stage for what's likely to follow.
Right. So they get down. It's 2-2, and they don't go. They're still in the.
Oh, actually, it's a goodie, right? So she clocks her. Tori clocks Sam with an elbow.
Yeah.
So her right Sam's right eye is messed up. So then Sensei Silver tells her to go nail the other eye, and the worst she's gonna get is a warning.
Yep.
Not really kind of cool, but totally in line with the whole Cobra Kai sort of thinking on there. And Kreese says no. Just go out and let her fight her fight. She's earned her way at that, which was a bit of a surprising answer coming from Kreese.
Yep. Definitely not.
Does she circle to her left, Sam's right, because her eye is messed up? By the way. No.
I think she doesn't.
She doesn't. She goes the other way for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
Which does seem like the rather tactical mistake. But anyway, so I digress.
So here we are.
Dukes it
2-2. And you're like, okay, Sam's
Sam's gonna save Miyagi-Do.
She's gonna save Miyagi-Do. If she wins, Miyagi-Do wins the whole thing. And boom, Tori knocks her down and gets the hit.
Boom. That's it.
It's
all over.
Kai wins. Tori wins. Sam can't believe it.
Daniel's out. Johnny's out.
Daniel's out. Johnny's out. We forgot that part, like in the beginning, where they challenge. Like that was basically the whole theme. We kind of missed that.
Season, yeah.
The whole season theme was that.
That was the end of season 3. We all knew.
Yeah, it was that whoever in the All Valley, whoever wins, gets to keep their dojo, and whoever loses has to give it up. A loser leaves town match. So now both of them have to give up their dojos, which sets the scene for season 5, we think. Except for the fact that after the celebration,
so Tori's winning, the bad girl makes good, etc. It's going to change her life, all this sort of stuff. And she comes by, and what does she see?
She sees Terry Silver handing money to the judge and thanking him for doing a good job. Yeah. The fix was in.
Yes.
Sam should have been the champion, but she's not. Now, with that knowledge, what do you do with it? Well, one part of the knowledge is that Terry Silver, the tiger doesn't change his stripes, Dawg. The tiger does not change his stripes. And in the post-mortem, where Kreese and Terry are celebrating over champagne, the cops come. And you're like, they're going to arrest. Now Terry's going to get... Kreese started doing the right thing, and now Terry's going to get chucked in jail because of what he did to Stingray. Right? Because they give you a little Stingray in there, like Stingray talking to the cops. Well, guess what?
Sensei, John Kreese.
That's who did it.
Oh.
So Terry says to Stingray, basically that he's going to kill him, and except if the cops ask, you tell him John Kreese did it, and then I'll let you in.
I'll let you in Cobra Kai.
Yep. So, of course, Stingray, the weak of character Stingray, sells Kreese out like a $2 suit. And
so Kreese is off to the pokey.
Our season ends. No!
But wait, there's more.
So Daniel has to figure out, his car empire is just not going to cut it. And, he's got to figure out what his next step is going to be. So where does he go, Dawg? He goes to the only place where you could figure these things out, right?
Mr. Miyagi's grave.
Mr. Miyagi's grave. And he's just asking Mr. Miyagi for help. even though Mr. Miyagi always told him everything because that's what Mr. Miyagi said. And instead, Dawg, who shows
comes
up?
in? Chosen.
Chosen shows up. And now we are on to season 5. He will help.
So basically, Daniel's like, the deal's off. I'm keeping it.
Well, or no, but he could use the Chosen version. Chosen could be the sensei, and he could work for him.
True. He's kind of dodging on that one. That's a little.
Well, you know,
it's a little. That's a. He sort of says too, like I'm not giving up. If they're too dangerous, I can't give up the fight.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
There we go.
It's all laid out for him.
Robbie comes back to Johnny. We should throw that in there.
Oh, right.
All teary-eyed and everything, and you're right, I was wrong. Blah blah blah. So.
Well, he understands him more now.
Exactly.
After what he's been through.
Yeah, and what he did with Kenny, that was sort of the tipping point on there. He realized he went bad. So,
and he went bad because they influenced him to go bad, and he followed their influence.
Correct.
And then when he did the right thing, he just got straight up beat.
Yeah.
But he was happier with being straight up beat. He could live with that. He couldn't live with what he was doing to Kenny.
Yeah.
So we have our plot set up for season 5. You got Tori Sam rematch, which is, the fix was in. You always have like the Miguel Robbie thing, but you have Anthony LaRusso and Kenny Payne, right? That's going to, Anthony's going to have to take up some kind of karate. He's probably going to end up at Cobra Kai, and Kenny's going to end up at Miyagi-Do. Right.
Yeah, does Tori come over? Does Tori come over to the good side?
I don't know. She could go to Eagle Fang. We could have Tori at Eagle Fang against, whatever. But so we're up to date. So all in all, I love the season. I don't care about like the other stuff and the overacting, they set things up to have so many great moments, and I'm like really good with that.
I honestly to God don't think you can overact in Cobra Kai.
No, I don't think you can.
It just increases the awesomeness of it. As long as you get on the fact that you yourself get the joke while you're doing the overacting, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Debbie Rizzo chiming in. She's all in on this one. Tori comes over, and now Kenny will be the new villain. I don't know. Kenny has a sympathetic side that I think they're going to show. Maybe his dad comes back.
You're bad for half the season, like all these guys, right?
His dad comes back. He's veteran of the day on Time of Diehards. We get a special appearance. Okay. Other things to cover. Fanatics bought Topps, so I guess we'll be seeing Topps baseball cards and cards after all, so that's good. The Mets hired Buck Showalter, which everybody pretty much saw was going to happen, and Steve Cohen, the Mets owner, was the one who announced it on Twitter, and that got everybody a buzz. The A's have their manager, so they let go of Bob Melvin, who went to the Padres, and they promote Mark Kotsay, a 17-year major leaguer, and they seem to be in good hands as they go through whatever they're going through here. If the stadium happens, it doesn't happen. I don't know. Now it's off. I thought it was on. Who knows? We got this new world of COVID with the Omicron here in our area. It clearly spiked during the Christmas holiday part, right? And like everybody on my block seemed to have it. Nobody's getting really too sick for the most part from that. There's still the I guess the Delta's still kind of floating around, although a little bit less and less. So some people are still getting it bad, but the hospitalizations and stuff are nowhere near what they've been in previous ones. And the one thing we did want to touch on was that as we do this, the Nets, we're talking basketball for sort of 1 second, Kyrie Irving is making his season debut for the Nets here January 5th. And what do we care about that on a baseball show? Well, he's an unvaccinated player, and by New York law, he's not really allowed to be inside with his teammates. And rather than let him, practice with the team when he could, eventually the team, with all injuries and whatever, finally said, "Listen, you could play in road games and you could practice with us when we're not bound to these New York laws." Now, he's like one of the top 5 players in the NBA. He's on a team that, with him is certainly a title contender. But Dawg, I guess the sort of overarching point that we're looking at is in a few months, is this going to be privy, like, are the Mets and the Yankees and any team based in a state where there are vaccine mandates, are their players going to have to, be involved in similar situations, or do they give them an exception because the sport for the most part is played outside in Yankee Stadium and Citi Field?
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, I think by the time the season comes up, we sort of talked a little offline that I think, I think the Omicron is probably the beginning of the end. If it's like any other pandemics and stuff, so it's more easy to get, not as big of an impact on people. So hopefully by the time we get to that, that sort of cut that situation off. But baseball was much more open, and trying to get the game going and get the players involved in the game. So I think that I should be pretty. I think they'll be pretty lenient on it. I think they generally have been so far, and maybe more testing, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I think they will find a way. I don't think they will be as draconian as the NBA wound up being with the Nets.
Well, I don't know. Was it really an NBA like Nets thing, or was it really a New York thing, a New York City thing? I
True.
mean,
It was the combo. Yeah.
so
But I think
if you're the Yankees and the Mets and you have unvaccinated players, which I have no idea the status of these guys, but when they're inside of a clubhouse in a locker room, they're not outside. When they're playing, they're outside. When they're in a dugout, they're kind of outside. But like, does the venue count as an indoor venue in some ways and not an indoor venue in other ways? Like, there's so many gray areas here. It just makes you wonder where all these rules are going to be, even in a month or a few weeks. And, the people in charge in New York are, we have a new mayor in the city now. And, these mandates were imposed under Bill de Blasio. And, he's, as of the ball dropping
thankfully
on
gone.
January 1st, he's out. And, so far so good for the city. You have a mayor who's looking to, change some of these things and get the economy jump started. So we'll see,
Yeah. I mean,
mandates are.
I'll say even for mine, like I work in the city, and we have a mandate at work that everyone has to be vaccinated going in, and we were kind of figuring out what to do. We're planning going back mid-January and so forth, things like that. And for us, they were basically because of the New York rules that De Blasio changed in December. Like if I went into work in an office, so it's got all the ventilation, all the upgrade stuff that they asked for, and all that. It's one of the very modern building. And if I was still sitting at my desk, and if I was 6 feet away from somebody, I'd have to sit there and wear a mask at my desk, more than 6 feet away from anybody else, while I'm sitting there working all day. Meanwhile, like everyone in the room is all vaccinated, so like I have to upload it, the whole rest like that. Like, who are we protecting from each other? And I think some silly rules like that there's being protective, and there's not being smart. And I think some of the stuff that he put in there was clearly just not smart, and stuff that shouldn't have been mandated by the city. It really should have been left up to, it depends, right? If you're packed in, it's one situation. If you're spread out like we were, there's totally no reason for people to be sitting there running around wearing masks and stuff. So I think it sort of sets up for the mayor having an easy chance to revise some of those more draconian rules that De Blasio threw in at the last minute on his way out for whatever crazy reason he had.
Well, listen, with the companies, let's face it, they're running scared. Like,
Yeah.
they don't want to, they overdo it by taking whatever rules there are and immediately applying them because they don't want to get sued. They don't want to put themselves at risk for lawsuits from their employees that they're asking to go back in. And, you have the whole other issue of kids in schools and data and what data they're using and what science they're using. And, when all these decisions being made and very often nobody being able to show you the actual science that's actually behind it, just telling you to go follow the science. I mean,
The science.
yeah, I mean, it's
I remember
it's
taking the science.
yeah, there's so much up for debate. And, then you have other issues of some people that are qualified to really be in the debate. I'm not really one of them. I keep on top of a lot of different sides, but I don't have a medical degree. I'm not a medical researcher. I'm not qualified to really do that. I am qualified to have sort of my own opinion, but dissenting sides being silenced on social media is disturbing, and I think we're already used to the regular media, the traditional media, only reporting what's convenient for them and for their narrative. I think that one's pretty out there, but the silencing of dissenters who are qualified to dissent is that's the part to me that really has to change before we're going to progress forward, and see and make sure that most importantly we have a baseball season after the lockout's done, and B, season 5 of Cobra Kai.
There you go.
Because next New Year's, all due respect to everybody, I'd like to be back to a little bit of a traditional partying in the Riz backyard with the Fordham crew. How about that?
There you go. There we go.
All right, we're gonna end it on
Cobra Kai on the outside.
We're gonna end it on that. Go check out fmsgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. fmsgraphics.com, a family-run, family-owned business for the last 50 years. fmsgraphics.com. fmsgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. And as the dog knows, what better way to start a new year out? It's we've gotten some of the snow here in the Northeast. We've gotten some of the bad weather. But when the weather gets
under there, get that out of there.
As soon as the weather gets good, you get a couple of good days in a row. You're in Bergen County or Passaic County, New Jersey. You're passing by Fairlawn. You stop at Big Ed's Car Wash, and you get the best job that you can get done on your car for a reasonable price. And Big Ed does everything in an environmentally friendly manner, believe it or not. And he'll sit there and he'll tell you about it. Tell him Diamond Diehards sent you. Big Ed's Car Wash, Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Check it out. Get all that constant muck of the winter off of your vehicle as soon as you can. That is going to wrap it up for the Cobra Kai spoiler show, and we will be back at it. And mostly life. And that is going to do it for this first episode of 2022. You can follow the dog on Twitter at Jeff Healy 8, the number 8, that is. You can follow me at Diamond Diehards on Twitter, and follow at Diamond Diehards anywhere on social media. If you're a YouTube fan, look for Diamond Diehards there. Hit that subscribe button and the alerts button. Join our Facebook group, where you'll get most of these live streams like you are now if you're checking in. And if you are an audiophile and you like to listen to it when you're out for your walk or your run on the treadmill or whatever you're doing, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all of the podcasting platforms, you can find Diamond Diehards with a quick search. So follow, subscribe, like us, 5 stars, whatever you do, write a good review. We are here for it, and interact with us on social media. Of course, if you want to do business with us as well, shoot us a note. We are glad to have you, like we're glad to have fmsgraphics.com now for a 3rd year, and Big Ed's Car Wash for a 2nd year. That is going to do it for the dog, Jeff Healy. This is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.